my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Free speech, it's the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people up the red, bottom blue, you keep them in bed. Seeing the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey with my Mickey keeps dying in my kidneys weak. Silence in my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take aim and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. When the vote count is irregular, you kill the messenger. You caught spying on a senator, you kill the messenger. Removing voters from the register, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on the regular, you kill the messenger. Free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, bottom blue, you keep them in bed. Seeking the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezer red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace, like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace, like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 balls, they upset, they ended the rape sentence. But the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. And I'll pay the Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life, make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger. You kill the messenger. Democracy dies in the darkness. Feeling cold now, but got the heater on. Feeling sold out, even though I'm keeping strong. But can I hold out when every bit of freedom's gone? They want me rolled out, never to sing freedom song. I wanna see the sky, I wanna feel the rain. But gotta keep away from windows, that's some window pane. It's just a shame, couldn't have planned out all our dreams. Now I scream, cause there's a man in the machine. But the train is off the tracks, and damn, it's losing steam. I wanna call Christine, I haven't seen since 013. I'm missing life like 3 strikes each night. Seems like 3 nights ain't right. Can't fight, space light, hate life. Wanting to be snake-like, shedding off this gray life. In the dark can't make light, but where I'm headed now is brake lights. Where I'm headed now they break lights. Counting days like brake lights. Feeling weight like brake lights. Had a great life. Brake lights. Brake lights. Brake lights. Out of place like brake lights. In my face like brake lights. Counting days like brake lights. Brake lights. Brake lights. Sit here asking, what have I done? If these strings were cut, I'd see my son. And if I could just fly from this place, then I'd hold you in my love embrace. And if I could just speak to you now, I'd renew my vow and be in the now. Is this me in denial? Wanna remove stress from your brow and pay you back some way, somehow. But it's painted black, can see the way back now. But how's the house and how's your mom? I doubt the way the media portrays me makes you hate me. But to think you see that daily makes me crazy, that just ain't me.
This is without a doubt going to be this generation's Free Mandela movement. Every single generation must fight again the same battles that previous generations have fought.
Brake lights, counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Brake lights. Brake lights. Brake lights. my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masters of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Free speech, it's the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people up the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeing the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey with my Mickey keeps dying in my kidneys weak. Silence in my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults. They upset, they under the right sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take aim and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life, make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. When the vote count is irregular, you kill the messenger. You caught spying on a senator, you kill the messenger. Removing voters from the register, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit the leak. The masters of the masses, they want the shit to street. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on the regular, you kill the messenger. Free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeking the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Outside my window, a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets, what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace, like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace, like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset, they ended the rape sentence. But the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger. You kill the messenger. Democracy dies in the darkness. Feeling cold now, I got the heater on. Feeling sold out, even though I'm keeping strong. But can I hold out when every bit of freedom's gone? They want me rolled out, never to sing freedom song. I wanna see the sky, I wanna feel the rain. But gotta keep away from windows, that's some window pane. It's just a shame, couldn't have planned out all our dreams. Now I scream, cause there's a man in the machine. But the train is off the tracks, and damn, it's losing steam. I wanna call Christine, I haven't seen since 013. I'm missing life like 3 strikes each night. Seems like 3 nights ain't right. Can't fight, space light, hate life. Wanting to be snake-like, shedding off this gray life. In the dark, hit make light. But where I'm headed now is brake lights. Where I'm headed now, they break lights. Counting days like brake lights, feeling weight like brake lights. Had a great life, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Out of place like brake lights, in my face like brake lights. Counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Sit here asking, what have I done? If these strings were cut, I'd see my son. And if I could just fly from this place, then I'd hold you in my love embrace. And if I could just speak to you now, I'd renew my vow and be in the now. Is this me in denial? Wanna remove stress from your brow and pay you back some way, somehow. But it's painted black, can see the way back now. But how's the house and how's your mom? I doubt the way the media portrays me makes you hate me. But to think you see that daily makes me crazy, that just ain't me.
This is without a doubt going to be this generation's Free Mandela movement. Every single generation must fight again the same battles that previous generations have fought.
Brake lights, counting days like brake lights, 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 brake lights. my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Free speech, it's the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people of the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeing the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey with my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take aim and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. When the vote count is irregular, you kill the messenger. You caught spying on a senator, you kill the messenger. Removing voters from the register, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger.
Kill the messenger. Kill the messenger. Kill the messenger.
In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want this shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on the regular,
You kill the messenger.
free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeking the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat until I'm deceased underneath a freezer red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor,
Kill the messenger.
Out my window, a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night, like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace, like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace, like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. And I'll pay the Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger. You kill the messenger. Democracy dies in the darkness. Feeling cold now, I got the heater on. Feeling sold out, even though I'm keeping strong. But can I hold out when every bit of freedom's gone? They want me rolled out, never to sing freedom song. I wanna see the sky, I wanna feel the rain. But gotta keep away from windows, that's some window pane. It's just a shame, couldn't have planned out all our dreams. Now I'd scream, cause there's a man in the machine. But the train is off the tracks, and damn, it's losing steam. I wanna call Christine, I haven't seen since 013. I'm missing life like 3 strikes each night. Seems like 3 nights ain't right. Can't fight, space light, hate life. Wanting to be snake-like, shedding off this gray life. In the dark can't make light, but where I'm headed now is brake lights. Where I'm headed now they break lights. Counting days like brake lights. Feeling weight like brake lights. Had a great life. Brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Out of place like brake lights. In my face like brake lights. Counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Sit here asking, what have I done? If these strings were cut, I'd see my son. And if I could just fly from this place, then I'd hold you in my love embrace. And if I could just speak to you now, I'd renew my vow and be in the now. Is this me in the now? Wanna remove stress from your brow and pay you back some way, somehow. But it's painted black, can see the way back now. But how's the house and how's your mom? I doubt the way the media portrays me makes you hate me. But to think you see that daily makes me crazy, that just ain't me.
This is without a doubt going to be this generation's pre-Mandela movement. Every single generation must fight again the same battles that previous generations have fought.
Brake lights, counting days like brake lights, 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 brake lights.
prison, under house arrest, and almost 5 years here in this embassy without sunlight. My children grew up without them. That is not something that I can forgive. It is not something that I can forget. It's something that I hope will be more than just about me. Because the reality is, detention and extradition without charge has become a feature of the European Union.
Our number one enemy is ignorance, and I believe that is the number one enemy of everyone, is not understanding what is actually going on in the world. It's only when you start to understand that you can make effective decisions and effective plans. Now, the question is, who is promoting ignorance? Well, those organisations that try to keep things secret, and those organisations which distort true information to make it false or misrepresentative. In this latter category, it is bad media. It really is my opinion that the media in general are so bad, we have to question whether the world wouldn't be better off without them altogether. They're so distortive to how the world actually is, that the result is we see wars and we see corrupt governments continuing on. One of the hopeful things that I've discovered is that nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it if they had searched deep enough. If they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars. Populations don't willingly, with open eyes, go into a war. So if we have a good media environment, then we'll also have a peaceful environment.
Julian Assange, thank you very much.
You've been gone for 6 years, and they've drank blood. Your wings are perishing, haven't seen the sky. The papers laugh, the tourists sneer, makes me wanna cry. Cheering on the end of you, wanna see you die. Ooh, 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 ooh. got a hand. You put them to shame. Point it on the man. We love you, fellow and a friend. We wanna see you make it through the torture to end. Ooh, 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 ooh,
Major Lobo from the Oligarchy News Network. A new study shows that no one reads books and we should burn them all and stop printing. Back to you, Bill.
Let's get the hell out of here.
Eve, holy crap.
Yeah, you see, these are books, and they can teach you a lot about yourself and the world. This book is Julian Assange's, and it will help you understand geopolitics. So while we're on the subject, we should work to free him from political persecution.
Mic check. Hi, everyone. Let me know in chat if you can see and hear me okay.
You're good.
I'll take all those emoticons as being a good sign. Hi, RSFO. Hi, Paul. Hi, Propaganda. Hi, Celine. Hi, Bruce. Hi, Monday. Hi, everybody. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Patty. You hear me and see me. Okay, cool. Thank you very, very, very much for being here. Sorry about my terrible lighting. This is supposed to be WikiBees session 15, I think, but I really just wanted to have a talk to you and a catch up with you all because so much has been going on. I have here with me on stream a bunch of our core mods from Unity for J. So hi to Fleur, Bruce, Joe, Kitty, who are all with me right now. You get to, oh, there they are. There some of them are. Hi. Oh, that's so nice, Laura. Thank you. And Eric and Jeremy, hi. Okie dokie. So much has happened this week. I barely know where to begin. The emergency vigil was a massive success, and we're really pleased with how it went. Christine Assange's message to the world has truly gone worldwide. I've seen it translated into French, into Portuguese, into German. It's hit the international press over the last few days in a big way, which is really great because that was such an important message. And it's had massive traction. So that's really, really, really good. Now, unfortunately, the situation has continued to worsen for Julian. There is some news to follow, I think, in the coming days, but I'm not going to foreshadow that now any more than that. We have decided as a team that we need to up the pace of the movement every time that the threats to Julian increase. Which means that after some discussion with Joe Laurier from Consortium News and some other key people, we have, excuse me, my voice is still not good. We have decided to make our monthly vigils weekly vigils. And so every Friday going forward, we will be running a vigil on Friday night from 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's when you'll see all the movement participants, all the, high profile guests that have endorsed this movement will be appearing every Friday going forward. Those streams will be led by Joe Laurier from Consortium News, Editor-in-Chief of Consortium News, and not by myself. I may appear at some time in the future on them, I'm not sure, but Joe will be fronting those. And those will be attended by the participants that you see on unityforj.com participants list. And we've decided to ditch the interview format because the situation now is really so dire that we don't just want to sit around and interview each other about, politics and stuff endlessly. We actually want to just have a shorter, more focused vigil stream purely about Julian's situation. So that's the plan going forward. Now, the reason we're moving it to Friday is because we're going to have Saturday action days every single weekend going forward. So the calendar will be WikiBees Wednesday and Thursday, Vigil Friday, and then a global action day every single Saturday. So I tweeted out a couple of days ago, actually, that, let's quote myself here, that I'm seeing undeniable signs that support for and action to free Julian Assange is growing. More and more new people are speaking up every day now, including multiple blue ticks. So this is because I was just doing some searches on Julian's name and on WikiLeaks, and I was just seeing more and more and more and more people who I've never seen tweet before, who I've never seen speak up for Julian before, are now starting to speak up for Julian. And that includes a number of, blue tick verified journalists around the world. And that I consider to be an amazing sign. I've also seen new movements to support Julian cropping up, which is absolutely fantastic and exactly what we wanted to see and exactly what we wanted to happen. So tonight I wanted to have a little talk to you guys about the original purpose for Unity4J and where we're at with it right now. So when we started the first #Reconnect Julian vigil and then the subsequent Unity4J vigils, the most important thing to me personally was that we demonstrate that Julian couldn't be silenced without some pushback. And post 2016 election and everything that's happened in media discourse since, Julian had taken a massive kicking and WikiLeaks had taken a massive kicking. And there'd been a huge amount of pressure on people to pick a side, to pick a, whether it's Democrat, Republican, or like pro-DNC leaks or anti-DNC leaks. People were really, and I mean, to some extent still are, but it's actually not as bad as it was like at the beginning of this year. The divide and conquer agenda. People were being divided, and WikiLeaks' support base was being divided, and Julian's support base was being divided. And when they silenced him, he lost the ability to defend himself, and he lost the ability to advocate for himself. And that was a really critical time for others to step up and to advocate for him. And Unity for J managed to bridge that divide and take the issue back to being about press freedom, freedom of speech, and defending Julian and his human rights, and rather than the issue being about who you voted for. I feel very much that Unity for J has achieved that aim. So first and foremost, we proved that we would not let Julian be taken silently into the night, that we would stand up, we would speak up, we would unite. And secondly, we proved that no matter what your political ideology is, or who you voted for, or what your position was, that we could work together. That we could work together and we could build something awesome and important, and that we could have impact. So I think the most recent statistics I saw for Unity for J are about probably 2 weeks old. And I'll just show you them. I'll just screen share and show you. So this is back on the 30th of October, actually. Okay, so it's 17 days old. So as of 17 days ago, Unity for J, the hashtag, has achieved 193 million Twitter impressions. It has had 9,776 people contribute to the hashtag. And I think somewhere there was like let's see, 461 cities in 105 different countries with over 52,000 tweets on the hashtag. That is something to be incredibly proud of. Those numbers are astronomical. Those numbers are a internet marketing company's wet dream. And a standard PR or marketing company would have a multi-million-dollar budget to pull off that kind of saturation. And we've done it with $0. Unity for J has not taken any money. We've driven all donation calls to date have gone to WikiLeaks and to Julian and to the legal team. So I am really proud of what we've done. I am really, really proud. We've brought together over 80 vigil participants. We've held vigils every single month. Someone saying that's huge. Ruben saying that's huge. It is huge. 200 million Twitter impressions just from people giving a shit about what is happening to Julian and to WikiLeaks. And just from us deciding, almost on a whim to pull this together and to do it. And that 193 million impressions has come with a total and complete media blackout of this movement. So despite, I think our biggest vigil attendance was something like 270,000 people watched, I believe it was the August vigil. More than 250,000 people, and not one single mainstream media outlet reported on it. So that 193 million impressions is 100% the result of our work. We haven't had any platforming or assistance from the mainstream whatsoever. And we have got our message through to everyone. So I'm just incredibly proud of all 9,772 people who have made that happen. You guys deserve a massive pat on the back, because what you've done is truly, truly phenomenal. And when we started this movement, we weren't seeing actions being taken in support of Julian and WikiLeaks all around the world the way that we are now. We weren't seeing people stepping up and speaking out the way that they are now. There has been, over the course of the movement, it's very typical, and we anticipated it from the beginning. There has been some attacks on people who are involved in the movement. There has been efforts. I can tell you that all of our participants have been emailed and messaged telling them to denounce our movement, telling them that we're this, that, or the other thing, and that they should turn their backs on the movement and make public statements against the movement. After more than 6 months now since the original stream, not one single participant in Unity for J has denounced the movement or turned their backs on it. As a unified force, we are so strong, and we have not let them pick us off one by one. And I'm especially proud of that. The over 30 mods that we have in our core team, not one single mod has turned their back on this movement. Not one single mod has broken ranks. And I'm extremely proud of the total lack of drama internally within the movement. The attacks that have come on us have all come from the outside. And by comparison to the extent of our messaging, those attacks are percent. They're minuscule, they're tiny, they're extremely ineffective. So I am so proud, so proud of our team that no matter what has been thrown at them, they have stayed strong, they've stayed true, they've stayed united, and they've stayed together. And that is just an absolutely beautiful thing. I've been involved in a number of mass movements, and Unity for J has had the least drama, the least conflict of any movement that I've ever seen, ever. So I want to thank all of the participants and supporters of Unity for J for being so mature and working together so well, and for being so stoic in your support of Julian and WikiLeaks, and having such high belief in this cause and what we're doing. Now, in previous weeks, I've been talking to you guys. I talked about this last week when I was on the WikiBees stream, and I think I even talked about it at the last vigil possibly as well. But I talked about the fact that this movement can't rest on my shoulders because I am just one person. And I believe I said something along the lines of, if this movement is dependent upon me, then it has already failed. So I mean that very, very, very sincerely. I have less than zero ambitions of grandeur in this movement, because I know that I can't make this movement a success. It has to be made a success by all of the individual participants around the world. I can contribute to this movement. I can be a part of this movement, but it can't solely rest on my shoulders. People have got to take independent action, and they have been. I want to be very clear about that when I say these things, I'm not just schooling you guys. I'm trying to verify for you. People have got to take independent action to support Julian and to support WikiLeaks. Don't wait for me to tell you, I mean, I can say, yes, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to have a vigil, we're going to whatever. But at the end of the day, it will be the collective energy and collective effort of everybody around the world that makes the next 200 million impressions, that makes the next 50 live actions. And I honestly don't care what banner that's under, so long as people are taking that action. So I think, as you guys know, I've been quite sick for a while. I basically worked myself into the ground this year. I did so many, Paul's saying we need you, Susie. I totally disagree with you, Paul. You know why you don't need me? Because you've had me. You've had me for the last 6 months. You've seen how I work. You've seen how my brain operates. You've seen my tactics and how every time they throw something new at us, we innovate and we do something different. We modify our program, right? It was a one-off online vigil that became a monthly vigil, that became a Unity for J action day every Sunday after our vigil, that became WikiBees sessions to work live online, that's now becoming a weekly vigil with a weekly action day. It's not difficult to analyze my tactics of the last 6 months and to replicate them. You don't need me. You have hundreds of hours of footage of me doing what I do, and you are more than welcome to copy me and to get as many people as possible to copy me. You honestly don't need me. You do not need me. We have the greatest team running this movement, and we have so many capable, intelligent, brilliant people. And I will always support WikiLeaks. I'll always support Unity for J. I'll always support Julian Assange, but we don't need me to carry it. So, I mean, especially now we have Consortium News on. I'm not sure I ever got to speak much about Consortium News or why I got involved with them. I got involved with them because they are the cream of the crop of independent journalism. They have Pulitzer Prize winners, Marcia Gellhorn Prize winners, the top independent investigative journalists in the world work for Consortium News. And it is a huge credit to Unity for J that Consortium were, without hesitation, willing to partner with us and to get involved in this. Joe Laurier is one of the best people on this planet. And we are so lucky that yet again this week, without a second's hesitation, he says, yes, I'll give every Friday of my life to do this. Yes, let's do the weekly vigils. So who's saying, Paul, we need a leader. Paul, the intelligence agencies need us to have a leader. Those who oppose Julian need us to have a leader. We don't need to have a leader because our strength is in our collective. Our strength is not in an apex. Our strength is in the collective. And after 6 months, I think that everybody has learned enough about what we do and how we do it and what works to carry this forward. So I am very, very happy to hand the reins over. So back to my little, what I was saying before. So yeah, I really drove myself into the ground this year, not just on Unity for J. I started this year finishing the first 3 months of this year. I was working ridiculous. Like, I'm actually embarrassed to say how many hours I was working on being Julian Assange. Elizabeth Blair Voss knows how many hours I was working. From January through March, I was pouring everything that I had into constructing that work. And then by the end of March, within a couple of weeks of being Julian Assange, being out and in circulation, we were doing the Reconnect Julian stream and then all the Unity for J streams, et cetera, et cetera. I've been giving this, on the vigil weeks, I'd give it 100 hours a week. But it's thousands and tens of thousands of hours that have made that 200 million impressions. I couldn't have done that by myself, never. So the workload has been huge, and it's inevitable that my health has declined as a result. My circumstances in terms of living in exile and not having easy access to medical care and other things mean that when I get sick, the impact is harder on me and it takes me longer to get over it. So I am going to take the next couple of months to try to get back in better condition. I'm going to continue to support this movement on social media, and I'm here if you need me. You can message me whenever you want. But I'm going to hand over to our mod team to carry the WikiBees streams going forward. We have a lot of new coming up activists who've been involved in various components of this movement. You'll see a lot more of them stepping forward onto the streams. And together, you will drive this forward just fine. You really will. I would like to point out that someone's saying every group needs a spokesperson. Well, we have an amazing comms team leader. We have amazing people who can be spokespeople for this movement. It doesn't have to come down to me at all. But like I said, I'm not physically going anywhere. I'll be right here, so I'll do whatever I can to help, but I'm just going to step back from the streams, and I'm going to let the 30 plus mod team that we have collectively drive this movement going forward. I think it's very, very important to do that way. I think it will strengthen the movement. It will definitely strengthen the movement. And maybe I'll have some time to write, because a lot of people have been nagging me to write, and I've been telling them for months, I've got no time, because I spend so much time organizing that I never have 10, 12 hours to sit down and start writing an article. So collectively, you guys will just stay tight and push this forward. And if you need me, I'll be around. Oh, thank you guys for all that you've done. To those who are thanking me, I mean, we just, it's that rolling stone gathering moss. That's how I see it. And we've gathered a lot of moss now. We've gathered so much moss that there are other stones rolling alongside us. And that's amazing. That is truly, truly amazing. I know, to be honest with you, like Consortium News, if I write an article and send it to them, they'll publish it. And for me personally, that's huge. Like, my dream would be to write for Consortium News. And how ironic that I now have the ability to write for Consortium, and I never have enough time to even write an article to go on Consortium. So you'll still get access to me in multiple forums. But I'm just going to take the streams off my agenda, because that in itself will save me a lot of time and give me a lot more space to do things. So thank you for your understanding about that. I appreciate that. And please understand, I'm not abandoning anyone. I'll be right here. I will be right here. Thank you. I'm getting so many lovely messages. Christy is thanking me for building the movement, getting to where it is today. Christy, you are the classic example of what is making this movement a success. You came into the Discord, we didn't know you from a bar of soap. You said, hey, these are my skills, this is what I can do. You mucked in, you got involved, you got added to a team. You started participating, were given access to some assets, and you began working and contributing. Christy, you got to look in the mirror when you're saying thank you to me, because it's people like you that have built this movement. It's people like you that have made this a success, and just recruit more people in. That's all I can say. Share your experience and help other people, because I see a lot of people joining the Discord every day and they're disoriented. They may not have used Discord before. They don't know what all the channels are for. We've done our best to try and have things there to explain to them. But ultimately, they need someone to hold their hand for the first few days, and to help them to acclimatize and to show them how they can be a part. Time and time again in the Introduce Yourself channel, I see people saying, hi, my name is such and such, and I really care about Julian, and I want to help, but they don't know how to help. So one of the greatest things that you could do with this movement is to foster the people who are coming into the Introduce Yourself channel, make friends with them, explain to them, hey, this is what we do, this is how things work, help them to fit in and help them to contribute and to be an active part of the movement and to be a success story like Christy, for example. I mean, I just called Christy out, but Christy is one of hundreds of examples of people like that. I mean, some of the best people who we rely on every day to get stuff done are people that we didn't know from a bar of soap 6 months ago. People that we had no prior relationship with, but they saw a stream and they cared about what we were doing, and they came in and put their hand up and they mucked in and started working. So that's all we need to do. Brian's saying, be guides for new Unity for J people. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Zoe says that I've been a catalyst. Well, that is fantastic. I'm very honoured. If I've been a catalyst, I'm very, very honoured, because all I ever wanted to do was to facilitate ways for people to support Julian and WikiLeaks. And it's fantastic. And people like Propaganda, who you're seeing there posting in channel, Propaganda is one of the most innovative activists I've ever seen in all of my years of activism. Propaganda doesn't wait or ask permission. Propaganda just does amazing shit all of the time and then presents it to us on a platter, and we're just like, wow, incredible. So that kind of initiative is what drives activism. You don't need a leader. You don't need someone to help you on your way in the door and make you feel at home, but you don't need to sit there and wait for instructions, And oh God, this is just giving me the thought that this is the problem. This is the mentality of the military-industrial complex, right? You have a leader, they give you orders, you wait for your orders, you follow your leader, you follow your orders. This is part of what we have to break. We have to break that cycle. You guys are the leaders of this movement. The 9,772 contributors to our 200 million impression hashtag, those are the leaders of this movement, and together you decide the direction of this movement and where it goes. Robert Roberts is saying they've just arrived and am I stepping down? I'm not stepping down because I never stepped up. I was just an organizer. I've been an organizer all along. People have just gotten used to seeing me because I've been around a lot. But all along, this has been a wonderful core group of activists that have expanded this movement into what it has become. And it's very important to me that this movement not be dependent upon any one person, not dependent upon me. Now, I do, just to talk about something dark for a second, I think a lot of people know I received some more nasty happenings, threats, whatever you want to call them, this week. I want to make really clear that what I'm saying tonight about my intentions for what I want to do in the coming months have absolutely nothing to do with those threats. Anybody who knows me knows that, I'm pretty sure. Whenever I've had threats in the past, I've responded by stepping up my efforts, doubling down. I have nothing but disdain for people who attempt to threaten, particularly women, solo mums, but also journalists. I just want to be very clear that what I'm saying tonight is actually consistent with what I was saying last week and last month, which if you go back through my appearances, you will see me saying exactly the same things. We can't be dependent on a leader. We have got to, we've got to do this together as a group, and we have been. But it was also important for me to appear tonight and to show you I'm okay, I'm happy, I'm safe, I'm not afraid, and I will not give up no matter what. This is this, and I don't just mean Unity4J. For me, Unity4J is just one campaign and years of me being involved in various things. It's an important campaign, but it's not the beginning or the end of my activism or of my journalism by any stretch of the imagination. That is what I do is very much my calling. I feel that it's my calling. I feel that this is what I'm meant to do with my life. I've felt that for a very long time, and that's why I made the choice over and over again to turn away from conventional things and to pile my efforts and my energy into activism and journalism, because I believe in it very much and the importance of it. And that ethic, I guess, that won't stop for me, no matter what. So I'd like to know if you guys have any questions. Yeah, Brian, thank you so much. Brian gets it. Brian says, Susie is one gear in the machine that we call Unity4J. We've all got to act. Absolutely, but also know that there are people coming on board and being attracted to this movement who are far more accomplished, far more experienced, and far more capable than me. All of these people with Consortium News have 30, 40 years of experience in activism and journalism. I have like 7 or 8 years experience. You know, I am like a junior by comparison to them. I am a novice by comparison to them. And it is a testimony to the efficacy of this movement that people of such high quality are willing to be and want to be associated with it. That is just absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you for building a movement that was so strong, that it attracted people like that. And Garrison's just saying here that I'm saying everything that she was thinking anyway. That's so great. You know, historically, whenever there has been a leader figure, it has served the interests of those who oppose the movement. And I think in this day and age, we don't need to be making those same mistakes again. So I think it's in all of our interest that it's like hot potato, we pass the ball. You know, it's in all of our interest to do that. It makes a stronger movement. Now, Bill Hogan just said something really cool. Bill Hogan just said, what if once a week one volunteer writes his or her story about how he or she has contributed, talk about their role, particular things they've done in that role, amount of time invested and why they're doing it, etc. Now, Bill, some volunteers have done that completely of their own volition in the past. Well, there was a couple of great stories that came out, like just Medium posts and other formats of volunteers in the movement telling their story of how they came across UNFJ, how they got involved in it, what they've done. And for me, it was really eye-opening to read those. It was really eye-opening because you begin to understand like the breadth of this movement and what it means to people and the significance of it in a way that you otherwise don't, you know, especially for me, because I'm always seeing the mechanics of how things work and doing the planning and the organizing. To actually stop and read these, like, you know, very human interest stories of people's experiences is a wonderful thing. And Fleur is just reminding me that Kathy Vaughan is collecting stories for the documentary. Good point. So as you guys would know, if you've been watching the previous WikiBees sessions, Kathy Vaughan is putting together a UNFJ documentary, a documentary all about this movement, the history of it and everything that's occurred and the impact of it. And she is asking people to submit, I think, 1 to 2 minutes of footage of them talking about how they came across UNFJ, how they, you know, what they've done and what it means to them to be a part of it. So that's fantastic. So yeah, if you want to jump in the Discord and get added to the documentary team, you could definitely be a part of that if you'd like. Jose Rivera, your testimony from Ecuador of what's happening on the ground there and your other activists and journalists from Ecuador is critical. And some of the best WikiBees sessions have been where we've had you guys get on stream and talk about what's happening there. I think very much a key focus of this movement has to be to break down the wall of silence that the media imposes between what's actually happening on the ground in Ecuador, and also to use the full reach and strength of the UNFJ movement to support you and what's happening there. And actually, I want to ask you something. I put it in Translations channel today, but I saw someone had tweeted something about, they tweeted an article in Spanish. I didn't entirely understand it, but it seemed to suggest some kind of shift. It was from Venezuela, but it was about Ecuador, is my understanding, that there's some kind of shift in the support base for Moreno, and that things may be turning against him. I'd be very interested to hear an update about that. That would be fantastic. Hope K is asking, what's up with WikiLeaks silence? Well, WikiLeaks has scared the shit out of me so many times by going silent for a week that I can't even count it. Over the years, this occurs periodically. WikiLeaks goes quiet for 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, and everybody has a freak out about it. And then they come back out and there's usually something big. So I wouldn't be concerned at all about WikiLeaks silence. I would be concerned if both WikiLeaks and Assange defense were silent, and if we couldn't, if there was some kind of internal breakdown, but there isn't. I can guarantee you that there is not. So please don't worry about the fact that they haven't tweeted. People who are saying, oh, Fox News didn't tweet and WikiLeaks didn't tweet, this is just diversionary nonsense. Same thing with Kim. Kim not tweeting for a few days has absolutely no connection whatsoever to WikiLeaks tweeting or not tweeting or Fox News or anyone else. So, I mean, it's interesting because I've always considered myself to be someone who, I like to put dots together too, and I like to investigate things that aren't accepted by the mainstream. But there is also putting, what did Julian say? Putting 2 and 2 together and getting 22. That's a classic example of this whole thing where you hear WikiLeaks, Fox News, and Kim.com haven't tweeted, and therefore the sky is falling. No, that's people putting 2 and 2 together and getting 22. I'm just trying to read through all of your comments. Brian, you're exactly right. I'm exactly the same. So don't freak out. They've got something coming for sure. Okay, so I'll probably just ask the other panelists if they want to come on and say anything at this point in terms of what needs to be done in the short term. Because we're having weekly vigils, comms team is going to need to put out a press release about the vigils every week. And graphics team is going to have to produce vigil graphics every week that will go out to Scoop and to other publishers, Consortium News, who will publish those. And I will work with other people in our comms and outreach team to do all the guest placements and the scheduling. And other than that, from that point, everything will just continue on as normal. You guys carry this, you pick the direction, you work it out together, and you'll do great. You'll do great. Okay, who have we got with us? Who wants to say anything? Hi, we've got Kitty, our research director. We've got Bruce from our social media team, one of the greatest internet party activists, and Joe from Tech. You guys want to speak to? Hi.
Sure. I can say something if you want.
Go for it.
It's Kitty. I think that we need to evolve, and it's probably a good time to do that and give you a little bit of a break as well. But one of the things about this kind of movement is to keep people active and to keep them going. We need to kind of get them more involved. And this is certainly one way of doing it. I'd also like to see more interaction. I mean, the interaction tonight has been great. When Jose was here, we had some good interaction from the chat so that we can keep the communication lines open and things like that. So it's a natural evolution, actually, and I think it's a good one.
Very cool. And Kitty, you're one of the great unsung heroes of this movement too. You've just been 100% consistent throughout. You're just so reliable and such a fantastic contributor. And such a pleasure to work with. Just zero drama. I love all of our people. Our people are just zero drama, zero problems. They, at the drop of a hat, they're there to do whatever needs to be done. It's phenomenal. We're so lucky to have such amazing people be a part of this.
Well, you haven't seen me with the trolls, but that's okay. I shock people sometimes.
I think we have a fair amount of troll culture in our core team, but we direct our ire in the right way.
Yes, that's the key thing. If you're going to have some ire and drama, you have to make sure it's directed at the right people.
Joe, you want to say hi? Oh, we can't. We can only hear you a tiny bit. Okay, Bruce, what do you got to say? Sorry, Joe, we can't hear you. You need a headset, dude.
Hi, Susie. Thanks so much for everything that you've done for the movement. I think you'll always, it's pretty much a historical thing that you pioneered the unity concept, and actually people can look it up. There was an interview you did with H.A. Goodman, and Julian Assange himself retweeted it saying, "This is good." And the link in the tweet was exactly to the place where you were talking about unity. And I think it served us so well. And you and Kitty are both right. I mean, the mods are amazing, and the whole movement, there's no drama, and that comes from the idea of unity for J. So I think it's true what you say, that you have been working a little too hard. I mean, you've just knocked yourself out. And hopefully we can pick up a little bit of the slack, taking over the Wikibees. I hope that it comes to be at least several of us, particularly like I fronted the last couple, also with Kathy, but I'm hoping some other mods will come along. I don't particularly want to be, I think a whole group of us should be fronting it, and it should be a very interesting sessions that people really want to tune into. So yeah, I've talked to you when you've had no voice. So it's true that you were really your voice was completely knocked out from working 100 hours a week. That's crazy. But you'll always be a figurehead for the movement, and I hope to see you often in interviews. I mean, you were amazing with Jimmy Dore. You did the top 10 WikiLeaks achievements, for example. You're a wonderful speaker and a wonderful advocate for the movement, and someone that people will always identify with, and that really does help the movement, I think. So I hope to see you in front of the camera quite a lot. I know sometimes you don't quite enjoy being in front of the camera, but you're really sparking the movement. And I'll also say that I just looked back at the first vigil, the emergency vigil that was called the first time, and it's like almost 10 hours of video footage, and you can click on any part of it and it's amazing. The whole vigil is amazing, and that was pioneered by you too, really, also, the vigils. And you know, Commander X said it when he was interviewed, that that's pioneering stuff, and this movement has been pioneering, and hopefully it will continue to be pioneering. And you've started something wonderful, and you've kept contributing into something wonderful, and presumably you'll continue to keep contributing. And there's also, as you say, wonderful team of mods, wonderful people in the Discord, you know, people who just step up, a whole lot of them. You called out some of them, and I recognize them as well. And there are a whole lot of others, as you say. It's just, we have to, it's sort of an emergency. It is an emergency situation for Julian. He's in a terrible situation. And we do need to continue to step up. And it was wonderful to see your tweet that it's starting to have results, that we're starting to get other people echoing what we're saying, that we've got to talk about Julian, this guy, 8 years in the embassy with no charge. in the heart of London, that doesn't make any sense. And we also have to talk about his importance and the importance of WikiLeaks. And it's wonderful. We have people like Nozomi Hayase and Garrison, who's here, starting to doing some great articles, spreading the word of the importance of WikiLeaks for freedom of the press, for freedom. And I think Julian said, because I'm trying to remember Julian's quote about the way to end corruption is to expose corruption. And that is incredibly important for the world today. That is important for civilization. WikiLeaks is important for civilization. So we have one of the most important movements of our time and its leader held for 8 years without charge in what the United Nations calls arbitrary confinement. That just shouldn't go on in this world. And people are starting to speak up, and our Unity for J movement is a large part of that. And we just have to keep on improving and continuing to be a part of that. And Julian will get back, and WikiLeaks will continue to be important, and it will help the world. And so everyone here does it as a labor of love, and it's that's another one of the reasons I think why it's been drama-free, because everyone here realizes the importance of it. Okay, so I have to leave now, actually. So thanks for letting me get in that rant, and I'll take off. See you later, everyone.
Bye, Bruce.
Damn it, Bruce! I want to respond. I want to respond to that. So don't take off immediately. I think it might be valuable for people to take a little walk down memory lane with me, because you just talked about how I don't really like to be on camera. It's true, I actually hate being on camera. Anybody who's seen my documentary, Diary of a Person of Interest, that I made in 2016 about why I'd left New Zealand and the things I'd been doing in New Zealand, would have seen me talk about the fact that for the first 3-4 years of my activism, nobody even knew my name, because I didn't tell anyone my name, and nobody ever saw a photo of me. I was just known as @Indarken. I was just this I had like an Occupy New Zealand profile picture, and I just did all of my work from behind the camera. I filmed a lot of videos. I went to actions. I was covering actions, doing media support for actions, but my camera was always faced the other way. I never, ever turned around and faced it towards me. It was actually on the night of the New Zealand election in 2014 when I took the first photo of me and tweeted it out. And I did that because at that point, the threats against me were so serious, and the things that were being done, the persecution of me was so serious, that I realized that if I didn't tell people who I was and be open about what I was doing, that I was in serious trouble. And so coming forward was out of necessity, and putting myself on camera was out of necessity, but it was not something that came naturally to me. And I think there's a lot of people in this movement who are at that same point that I was at. They want to protect themselves, they want to protect their families, they want to protect their jobs, they really, really care, and they do everything they can to help and to support, but they don't ever want to see themselves on a live stream like this. And I just thought, I'd like to show you guys the evolution of how I went from that person who hated cameras and was scared of cameras and wouldn't ever appear in anything, to this person who is constantly on camera, doing interviews, talking on big platforms, etc. Because it wasn't an overnight process. It was a process that took years. Now, I just want to screen share, and I just want to show you guys something. Let's have a look. Okay, so a lot of you, I think, know about my series Decipher You, which is myself and Elizabeth Leah Voss analyzing Snowden files live online. I'm just going to screen share and show this to you. is this is a really good example of the evolution of me on camera. So if we go here to episode 1 of Decipher You at the very bottom of the playlist, which amazingly has 900 views. This is me. This is me talking to what I thought would be literally 4 of my friends. I never ever imagined that anybody was ever going to see this video. So this is me in my bed with not really any makeup. In fact, I have a face full of moisturizer, literally a face full of moisturizer in my bed, doing my analysis and my journalism. And you can go through episode by episode. Then we get to episode number 2. And I've actually worked out that it's probably not the greatest idea for me to be doing it from bed. So I've actually graduated to sitting at a desk. And here I am. And this is like, amazingly, this is only a little over a year ago. And then you go to episode 3. And I've worked out that not only should I be at my desk, but that I should probably have a better camera angle so that people can actually see me properly. And I still don't know how to have good lighting or to make it so that I'm not like shining blue from my monitor screen. And I'm going to tell you something else that I don't think I've ever really talked about. And that was someone saying my documentary was good. You know, my documentary was done in 2 weeks on iMovie, literally on iMovie, like the default video editing software on my Mac. I had absolutely no idea how to make a documentary whatsoever. I just pulled together some clips of a bunch of live video that I'd streamed and some screenshots of stuff from social media, and I got a camera and I just sat there and talked into the, and you can see in my documentary, if you pay attention to my documentary, you can see that I'm shitting myself. Like it was the first time ever that I'd spoken into camera. Let's go have a look at just the first few seconds of that. You can actually see me grimacing in the opening sequence. I mean, look, if you look at the very first second, I'm actually petrified. Okay, this is my face when I'm like, holy fuck, I'm looking into a camera. Oh my God, can I do this? And see how I'm pulling away? I mean, if you look at my like body language, I'm actually like, because I hate the camera. I hate the camera and I can't stand, I'm looking at myself in a viewfinder for the first time. Joe's just pissing himself laughing watching this, but it's true. I'm absolutely petrified in that film. But what you also see in that film, as I continue to talk, and I'll share screen again, as you progress through the film, like you can see here, I'm actually, if you watch my body language, I'm actually like doing this look like, and it's like, I hate what I'm doing. I hate being on camera, but I care about this. And so I'm going to force myself to talk about it. I'm going to get it out. I'm going to just keep going, you know, and then you get deeper and deeper into the film. And it hits a certain rhythm. It hits a certain rhythm. Like I go from starting out really like disgusted by the camera and not wanting to be doing what I'm doing to here I'm starting to get angry because I'm talking about the oppression and the things that are not good enough. And then when we get to me, so right here, we're now 20 minutes into the film, And I'm talking about these nasty security agencies and the horrible things that they do to people. And the more that I get into the content, the more my conviction begins to show, because I care so much about these things and I've seen them firsthand and I know them to be a fact. And so I start speaking like this really emphatically, and I'm just hammering out point after point after point, because I'm so determined to get the information across to people and to have them understand what I'm saying and to receive my messages, that I start to forget that I'm on the camera. I start to forget there's a camera pointing at me, and I start to lose my inhibition about being on camera, and I start to just really nail the topics. And it continues like that. If you progress through that documentary, you can actually see this whole process of me going from shy and awkward and scared and not wanting to be doing it, to starting to get across the information that I need to impart, to emphatically imparting that information to the audience. And then by the end, I'm directly, in fact, I'll show you towards the ending.
They're billing, they're invoicing, they are having has or hasn't been said or what has or hasn't been received.
And you can just see me get more and more comfortable. And by the end of it, it's just like, I'm having a conversation with people. So it's really interesting for me to show you that evolution, because when people say to me, oh, you're so great in interviews, you're so good on camera, I want to show you that I wasn't good on camera at all, and I wasn't great in interviews. There are interviews of me that are borderline disastrous. There was one I did with H.A. Goodman early on where I was so sick. He had been asking me for 2 weeks to be on his show, and I'd been promising and promising and promising to be on it, and I didn't want to let him down. But I had like some tummy bug, and I had a bucket sitting next to my monitor, and I was puking in between. And I'm there's like sweat pouring off me. I'm like white as a sheet. I look like I'm fucking dying on camera, honest to God. And I'm literally puking into this bucket and then like taking my mute button off and then continuing to speak. Because I didn't want to let him down. I so much didn't want to let him down that I went on camera in a condition that nobody should ever be on camera. So the upshot of all of this is that I think that those people who end of days prophet saying they couldn't tell. I'll see you, Bruce. I know you've got to go. Go for it, Bruce. I'll show you guys. I have no shame, honestly. I'm going to find that interview now just so you can see how freaking terrible I looked and why I should never, ever have been on screen in that condition. Where is it? Unless he had the good sense to remove it, maybe. Let's see if this is it. These stupid ads. Bear with me 1 second. I think. Okay, I can't find it right off the top of my screen, but it's there. It's there. And so this is what I'm trying to show you is that I think if there's something that people like about me, it's that I come across as real and authentic, and it's because I never tried to erect some like wall of, you know, professionalism or whatever. I've just shown people me in my real situations and as I am, and just telling people what I know. And it's that drive to share the information that, if anything, has been the spark, and I think what people connect with me. So the reason that I've just shown you all of this is because I am any of you that don't like cameras, don't want to be on stream, don't want to be giving interviews, that don't know how to do professional lighting, that don't know, that aren't confident speaking. It's just a pathway, it's a continuum. And if your drive to speak and share information overcomes your reticence to have a public presence or to make yourself visible, then you'll start down the same pathway. And after a couple of years of you doing messed up streams like me with moisturizer all over your face in bed or puking into a bucket next to your computer, eventually you'll get to the same point where you can sit more naturally on camera and be more okay with it, and where people might even like it. I never dreamed that I would ever have any kind of audience or any kind of large-scale reach. I just had this thirst to share what I know with people. And this is a really great forum for you to do that. Like the WikiBees sessions is a great forum for you to do that because you're with a group of people. You're not just by yourself like I was in that documentary, but you actually have a really supportive group of people. So any of you that have, oh, that's so cool, Jerry saying stage fright and public speaking. They say it's the number 2 human fear, second on the list of things people fear most, only to dying. Thanks for the good teaching on how to overcome the unnecessary fear. Jerry, the trick is that you just do it. You just do it. You just find it in yourself to speak. And when that need to speak and impart information to people overcomes your self-consciousness, then you're on that pathway. So thank you guys so much. There's so many nice messages from all of you. Crocodile says, I make a lot of people proud. Well, I'm proud of a lot of people. I'm proud of you, Crocodile. I'm proud of everybody who's been a part of this. And everyone who's, every day there's new people joining, you know, so let's just all take care of them and let's encourage people to step up and speak. Imagine how powerful these WikiBees sessions will become if we have 32 people on screen at the same time. If we have 40, 50 people on screen at the same time. And that's really what this format is ideal for, is to bring forward as many voices and as many perspectives as possible. Okay, is there anyone else? You guys got any questions for me? Because I'm probably going to wrap this up within the next 30 minutes. So I think we're clear on what we're doing straight going forward. Paul, the news today is that Julian has received his first and his second visitor under the oppressive new rules imposed on him by Ecuador. That's about it. I mean, also the legal team announced this week that he has been restricted from all visitation from his legal team outside of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, which means that for 128 hours a week, Julian is completely alone in the embassy. Completely alone. Which is really concerning for a number of reasons. Someone's asking when Julian can be free. Well, when Julian can be free is when all of us band together in significant enough numbers and take enough decentralized actions around the world to make him free. That's the very easy answer to when he can be free. Because, I mean, as Kim.com said, the judiciary is a rigged system. They judge shop, they pick who they want to be the judge, and the verdicts are prefab. So meaning that they know what the verdicts are going to be before they even have the hearing. So the judiciary is not going to do it. Politicians aren't going to do it unless people en masse make them do it unless there's such an outcry. So this entire movement is about freeing Julian. It's the whole purpose of Unity for J. So and countless other movements that have formed now too in support of freeing Julian. So support any of them, but just make as much noise as you can, and we'll be one step closer. Navigator Anne, he's had 2 visitors. I believe one was Stefania Maritzi and the second one was Sreko Horvat today. Yeah, I really don't like bashing any of the supporters of Julian. So I think regardless of, like, we shouldn't be focusing on like what we think about any individual person who's associated with Julian. We should just like keep our focus on freeing him, supporting him, free speech, freedom of the press. Salt makes snakes dead. It says, how many of us banding together do I think it will take? I don't know. I don't know.
I might be able to answer that.
Go for it.
Okay, generally speaking, or the rule of thumb used to be that for every one person that supported a cause or a movement or a position, that one person represented 100 other people that supported it. So we have approximately, I think Susie said 9,000 people in our Discord. That is actually representing 900,000 people who are actually supporting. So increasing that number hugely increases the numbers exponentially in a way, right? So every one person that you bring in will represent 100 people. So it actually isn't that hard to expand a movement like this once it's reached this kind of level. So that's my comment. Back to Susie.
Yeah, someone's asking about the DOJ announcements today. I take them with a grain of salt because they've been making similar announcements like that for freaking years. Like periodically they'll say, oh, we're preparing charges against Julian, we're preparing prosecute. I mean, they've been saying that for 7 years. So I thought that was a almost meaningless article in the Wall Street Journal. Like, who cares what the DOJ is doing? They've been persecuting WikiLeaks for 8 years. I don't see it as any more significant than it was when they're saying the same thing in 2010. So I wouldn't really, yeah. What I take note of every time someone is tweeting about Julian that I've never ever seen tweet about him before. Like when I'm seeing accounts active on Unity for J, and even without Unity for J, just talking, in support of Julian themselves, that haven't done so before. To me, that's a massive sign of breakthrough, because that's outside of the bubble, right? That's outside of the bubble of regular supporters or people who've been advocating for him for a long time. Christine Assange said to me this week, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, she said this week, we've hit critical mass. This is the week that we've hit critical mass, because we're seeing all around the world, across Europe, across Asia, we're seeing these spontaneous declarations of support for Julian from mainstream people. And that has been a long time coming. And it seems to have been this week. Christine's statement was of very high impact, because she speaks with the weight of the family, the credibility of the family, and where she specifically called, if you remember at the end of her statement, she says, I call on journalists to stand up because you are next. I call on activists to stand up, because WikiLeaks has served your causes and Julian is suffering alongside you. That was extremely powerful, because I think people have started to get that message. I think they've started to understand that this is no longer a luxury, if you feel like supporting situation. This is a you have got to, or we are all up shit creek situation. And I really felt like that resonated with a lot of people. So, and I'm very pleased to see that, how far that stretched right across the international media. Okay, last call, you guys. Where would Julian truly be safe? Someone's asking. We simply don't know the answer to that question. It would be great if his home country would actually support him and protect him. Whether or not they will is another question. Zoe says the tipping point for the general population supporting Julian is hopefully near. I believe it may well be. I believe it may well be. Benjamin's saying that Christine's message is at almost 20,000 views. Ben, that message was republished over and over and over and over and over again across the internet. So the Unity for J version has 20,000 views, but across all of the other, like Rupshley had a version of it that was tens of thousands of views. RT had a version. There's lots and lots and lots of different versions of it posted on YouTube. And it was embedded as an audio file all over the web. So, conservatively, it would be hundreds of thousands, but possibly millions of people have heard that message. Also, obviously, it was aired on TV shows and whatnot as well. So that was an extremely important event, I believe, that urgent message from Christine. Extremely important event. Navigator Anne is saying tweeting to dictionary groups in other countries might bring more exposure. And in terms of outreach, I think by all means, tweet at or send emails or letters to, every organization on the planet. Go for it. The more outreach and advocacy work that you can do, the better. The more pressure that you can apply on people to cover his situation, the better, or to put out solidarity statements in support of him. Bill Hogan's asking if there's any chance at all that the UK shake-up over Brexit changes anything. Well, there are a lot of people who believe that if we can get rid of Theresa May and if Jeremy Corbyn gets into power, that it will improve Julian's situation. I don't know that it will resolve Julian's situation, but that it will improve it. Hopefully that's the case. But I've just watched in my own country what we were told was a borderline socialist government, kind, friendly, fluffy bunnies, everything's nice and wonderful, have just signed the TPP. So I don't personally put as much stock in Jeremy Corbyn as other people do. Other people believe that Jeremy Corbyn is the bee's knees, great white hope, and I don't see it. Because time and time again, when we have those types of figures, we are betrayed by them. Whether it's Bernie Sanders endorsing Hillary Clinton, or whether it is Jacinda Ardern signing the TPP in New Zealand, or, in Canada, I'm sure Kitty can attest to this as well, right, with Trudeau.
Oh, yeah. In Canada, there's literally no difference between the socialist New Democratic Party and the Conservative Party when it comes to certain policies. The only reason the NDP during the Harper era didn't support C-51 and some of the other legislation was because there was so much public pressure on them from their own membership that they were forced to backtrack. They initially supported C-51 and some of the other really fascist legislation that was being passed by Harper. Trudeau and the Liberals supported it 100%. Nothing has been rescinded, and they're making the spy legislation even worse. So, you know, I can't talk about Europe or Australia because I really don't know. Corbyn talks much better than our left New Democratic Party does, which, I mean, in Canada, the New Democratic Party, which is the Socialist Party, is very neoliberal. In the UK, they are not so openly neoliberal with Corbyn, but, you know, I don't know, because I simply just don't know enough about him. But yeah, there's no options in Canada. Even the Green Party leader is pretty suspect in Canada. That's why I tell everybody, if you're going to vote in Canada, vote independent, vote private party. You know, don't vote for any of these major parties at all.
So I've just been alerted to the fact that WikiLeaks has actually just tweeted. And they've tweeted, with the Department of Justice case against WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange in the news, what are the reliable defense resources? And that is justiceforassange.com, Assange defense account, Assange legal account, Sui Generis Gen, and the live blog from iamwikileaks.org. So go and retweet that, guys.
That's the Courage Foundation.
The I Am WikiLeaks, yeah. It's the support website for WikiLeaks from the Courage Foundation, yeah. So go ahead and support and share that. Cool.
Oh, they tweeted eight tweets.
Huh?
They RT'd, I guess. There were 8 tweets there. So they must have been RT'ing.
Ah, okay. Oh, cool. They're retweeting the, oh yeah, there is a few more.
Yeah, they retweeted the Truth Dig crucifying Assange.
Yeah, God, it's such a fantastic article.
Yeah, excellent article.
And this one, did the US Department of Justice just accidentally reveal it has charged WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange in a secret charges request filed in another case at the Eastern District of Virginia with a cut and paste error?
That's interesting because, you know, I never thought that they would actually charge him. I figured he would just end up in Guantanamo.
Ha! Wow. The United States has considered, this is from a filing in Eastern District Court of Virginia. The United States has considered alternatives less drastic than sealing, including, for example, the possibility of redactions, and has determined that none would suffice to protect this investigation. Another procedure short of sealing will not adequately protect the needs of law enforcement at this time because, due to the sophistication of the defendant and the publicity surrounding the case, no other procedure is likely to keep confidential the fact that Assange has been charged. There it is. Wow. There's the confirmation.
Doesn't get more specific.
Amazing. Amazing.
Well, one of the things that Kiriakau was saying in his interview was that Assange, that he would probably be charged in Virginia, which is where Kiriakau and a lot of the other whistleblowers have been charged, and that there was one judge, Brinkma, I think her name was, that handled all these national security cases, and that there was just no way he was going to get a fair trial if that happened. It was simply not going to be possible. they actually, with Kiriakau, made it impossible for him to defend himself by using...
You're absolutely correct. And here's another one that they've just tweeted. Scoop, US Department of Justice accidentally reveals existence of sealed charges or a draft for them against WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange, an apparent cut and paste error in an unrelated case also at the Eastern District Court of Virginia.
Ah, there it is, yes.
The complaint supporting affidavit and arrest warrant, as well as this motion in the proposed order, would need to remain sealed until Assange is arrested in connection with the charges in the criminal complaint and can therefore no longer evade or avoid arrest and extradition in this matter. So there it is. There's the confirmation that they want to extradite. Amazing. Amazing. So there you go. Yet again, they were right all along. All along, they've said sealed charges and indictments and extradition requests.
Well, I think that this grand jury was exposed in the Stratfor files. So we knew about the grand jury, and that meant automatically that there was a possibility of charges. So, but this has confirmed that there are charges. That's huge.
Yeah, I agree. That is absolutely massive. Looks like our new website is around the corner from the messages I'm getting. Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's good for WikiLeaks because they've wanted confirmation of that for a very, very long time. And I suspect that that probably opens new legal avenues for them as well in light of that information. Really good.
Do you know?
Oh,
it's okay.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, do you know if Assange is covered under the legislation that protected Lori Love? I'm trying to think of what it was called that they appealed under.
My concern about the parallel to Lori Love case is that Lori Love is a UK citizen and Julian's not. And so, yeah, so I don't, while it's a good and important precedent that was set, very important in the Lori Love case, I'm not sure that it's of much use to Julian's situation.
Right.
Broadly as an extradition precedent, possibly, but I'm pretty sure that the fact that he is not a UK citizen would come into play.
Right. Good point. Yes.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap it. Is there any last questions? Golden Outing saying that Julian will not get a free trial no matter what. I completely agree. I completely agree. It will be a show trial. That's what it comes down to. It will literally be a show trial.
Yeah, there's no way that's going to go well for him.
Propaganda is reiterating the same things that the comments that you were making about Trudeau.
Well,
and I mean,
the Trudeau boys were all groomed by their daddy, right? Trudeau's father was a very, very famous Canadian Prime Minister, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And the kids were all, well, two of them were groomed to become politicians. The one that they actually expected to run died in a skiing accident. So Justin took over his place. But they're part of the elite in Canada. It's the elite's interests that they're looking after. They're not looking after the interests of the people. That's the way the Trudeaus have always operated.
The grooming is something that you see time and time again as well. And something else that you see is they seem to deliberately try to, I don't know if they did this with Trudeau, it would be very interesting if they did. But I've seen time and time again, these politicians pull out photos of them 20 years earlier at actions. Like Helen Clark, you know, there's photos of Helen Clark protesting in the late 70s, early 80s. This was the ex-New Zealand Prime Minister. the photos of Bernie Sanders protesting, you know, in the 70s and 80s or whenever, they posture themselves as activists. They posture themselves as being for the people. But when push comes to shove, they are on side with the corporations and the military-industrial complex.
Well, Trudeau never really had a history of protest. And he's probably the youngest prime minister we've had in Canada, I think, because he's, I think he's in his 40s, I'm not sure. But he's very young for a Canadian prime minister. Most of the Canadian prime ministers were all much older than him. But it was his name that got him in, and the hatred of Harper. Everybody, just by the time Harper was done, everybody hated him so much that when Trudeau walked in, it was just this reaction that, oh yeah, we remember Pierre, you know, oh, let's vote for Justin. But everybody forgot or ignored the fact that, you know, Trudeau and the Liberals had been supporting all of this legislation. So electing them wasn't going to there wasn't going to be any change. But what's interesting about that election was that Intelligence Q, the company that's associated with Cambridge Analysis in Canada, ran the Liberal Party election campaign. So if you recall what Cambridge Analytica did and the kind of scams that they were involved in, you can see why Trudeau probably got the landslide that he got.
Right. Very interesting. And I mean, we've seen too, with Jacinda Ardern, she worked for Tony Blair after the Iraq War. You know, it says it all. No matter how anti-establishment they're posed as being, the establishment ties are always there. Always there. Okay, so everyone, I'm going to leave you shortly. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I really deeply appreciate it. Thank you for all of the really, really nice comments. And thank you to those members of our team who were here on stream with me as well. The first weekly vigil will be now next Friday. So I guess we're looking at 23rd of November or thereabouts. So keep an eye out for that release coming out in the new week. And anything else you want me for, just message me on Discord or on Twitter, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm very proud. That's all I'll say. I'm very proud of everything that's been done. And I look forward to seeing where you guys take this in the future.
You're the best. You've done an amazing job. I don't think anybody could have done what you have pulled off in the last 6 months. And, you know, I'm so glad that you're going to still be around, because I know how hard it is when you get drained like that. But the fact that you're still going to be available and everything is wonderful.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing what comes next. I know that there are other things in my future, and I look forward to them. Okay, thank you guys so much, and I will see you soon, one way or another. Good night.